My husband emptied our family's bank account and walked out the door with a note that said, "I'm done. I need a new life." I never saw it coming. One moment we were planning our future together, talking about our daughter's next birthday and saving for a family trip. The next, everything we had worked so hard for was gone, and he was gone too. My name is Elena Brooks, and what Tyler did shattered me, but it didn't break me. He thought that by taking everything and disappearing, he could ruin our family and leave me helpless. What he didn't know was that I was going to fight back, take back what was ours, and make sure he never got away with destroying our future. This is my story of betrayal, survival, and reclaiming my life. Before everything fell apart, I thought my life was steady, even if not perfect. I was married to Tyler Brooks for 10 years, and together we raised our daughter, Maya. Our home in Raleigh was modest but filled with warmth and hope. Tyler worked in real estate sales, often traveling for work, while I juggled freelance accounting jobs and took care of Maya's school and extracurriculars. I handled most of the household responsibilities, from managing schedules to making sure bills were paid on time. Tyler managed the main bank account, and I trusted him completely with our finances. I never thought to question it because he always seemed responsible, organized, and in control. In the months leading up to his departure, Tyler's behavior began to change. He grew distant and distracted. He was often on his phone late into the night, answering calls in hushed tones and stepping outside to talk. When I asked if something was wrong, he brushed it off as work stress or personal issues he wasn't ready to discuss. I wanted to believe him. I thought our marriage was strong enough to weather anything. I believed he was just going through a rough patch and that things would get better. Our daughter, Maya, was the center of our world. At 9 years old, she was bright and sensitive, with a natural curiosity about the world. I focused on providing her with stability, even when I sensed tension at home. I kept the routines tight: school drop-offs, playdates, homework help, and bedtime stories. I hoped Tyler would return to the man I married, the partner who loved his family and worked hard for our future. But I was starting to see the cracks. The day it all unraveled was just like any other. I went to the grocery store to pick up supplies for dinner, only to find my debit card declined at checkout. I couldn't believe it. I checked my phone and logged into our joint bank account. The balance was zero, every last penny gone. Panic set in immediately. I checked our savings. Empty. I tried to call Tyler. No answer. Text messages went unread. That evening, a single message appeared on my phone from Tyler. "Don't try to reach me. I'm done. I need a new life." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Our life, our family, our dreams, all wiped out with a few taps on a phone. I sat on the couch, stunned, unable to process what was happening. Tyler had drained every account, closed off lines of credit I didn't even know existed, and vanished without a trace. The betrayal was deeper than the money. It was the loss of trust, the destruction of everything we built together. I immediately called my sister Renee, who lived nearby. Renee had always been straightforward and protective, the person I leaned on in tough times. When I told her what happened, she didn't sugarcoat it. "This wasn't a mistake or a breakdown," she said firmly. "Tyler planned this. He set you up to be left with nothing." Her words, though harsh, helped me see the truth clearly. This was no accident. It was deliberate. I wasn't just a wife left behind. I was a target of a calculated betrayal. Despite the shock, I knew I had to act fast. Maya needed me, and our home still needed to be a safe place. Bills were overdue, and rent was coming due. I started looking for ways to cover immediate expenses, freelance jobs, selling unused furniture, and tightening our budget wherever I could. Renee moved in temporarily to help with Maya and to give me support during those overwhelming days. The emotional toll was immense. I wrestled with anger, sadness, confusion, and fear. How could the man I loved turn his back on us so completely? I kept replaying our last conversations, searching for signs I had missed. I questioned myself, wondering if I had been blind to warning signs or if I had somehow failed. But every time doubt crept in, I reminded myself that his choices were his own. Through it all, I held on to one thing: the determination to rebuild. I realized that while Tyler tried to steal our future, he couldn't steal my strength or my love for Maya. I wasn't going to let his betrayal define us or dictate what came next. It was time to fight back, not with bitterness or revenge, but with resilience, intelligence, and a plan to reclaim what was ours. This was only the beginning of a long journey. I had no idea how I would manage it all or what lay ahead, but I knew I had to start somewhere. The life we dreamed of was still worth fighting for, even if Tyler had walked away, and I was ready to take back control, one step at a time. The moment I discovered that our family's bank accounts were empty, I felt like the ground had shifted beneath me. It wasn't just the money, it was the betrayal that stung the deepest. I had trusted Tyler completely with our finances, with our future. To realize that he had quietly wiped out every dollar felt like a personal attack on everything I held dear, on our daughter's safety, on the life we were supposed to build together. Panic and disbelief collided in my mind as I frantically tried to make sense of what was happening. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake, some banking error or glitch, but as I checked every account, every credit card, the truth became undeniable. Tyler had deliberately drained our savings and checking accounts, maxed out our credit cards, and closed lines of credit without my knowledge. It was clear this wasn't an impulsive act of frustration or a desperate move. This was a calculated decision, planned over time, designed to leave me with nothing. The realization hit me like a wave. I was alone, financially crippled, and responsible for raising Maya by myself. I tried to reach him repeatedly. I called his cell phone, left messages, sent texts, but he was silent. When he finally sent that one message, the words were cold and final. "Don't try to reach me. I'm done. I need a new life." Those words echoed in my mind long after the phone went silent. It wasn't just a breakup, it was a complete severing of every tie, a declaration that our life, our family, meant nothing to him anymore. The man I thought I could count on had erased our savings and disappeared, leaving me to pick up the pieces. The impact rippled beyond the finances. Rent was due, utilities needed to be paid, Maya needed school supplies and groceries. The weight of those immediate responsibilities pressed down on me heavily. I felt overwhelmed, but there was no time to fall apart. My daughter's well-being had to come first. I began scrambling, calling landlords, negotiating payment plans, reaching out to friends and family for support. Each call reminded me of how much Tyler had left behind and how much I had to do alone. I shared the news with my sister, Renee, who dropped everything to be by my side. Her blunt honesty was both painful and necessary. She told me, "Elena, this wasn't a moment of weakness for Tyler. This was betrayal. He planned this. You need to protect yourself and your daughter now." Her words forced me to see the situation clearly. This wasn't about saving a marriage anymore. This was about survival and justice. The man I loved had turned into a stranger who had stolen our future. The emotional turmoil was constant. I felt rage simmering beneath the surface, frustration at the lies and deception, and a profound sadness for the life we lost. At night, when Maya was asleep, the loneliness pressed in. I cried quietly, mourning the trust broken and the family fractured. But amidst the pain, a resolve began to take shape. Tyler had underestimated me. He thought that by taking everything, he could destroy me. Instead, he ignited a fire I didn't know I had. I began digging into our financial records, searching for any clue, any overlooked detail. That's when I discovered something even more shocking. Tyler had been funneling money into a private account for months, an account he never told me about. The hidden money was a betrayal on another level. It was the evidence that this wasn't a sudden breakdown, but a long-planned escape. I was furious but also relieved to know that not everything was lost. I contacted a family lawyer, Mr. Donovan, who specialized in divorce and asset recovery. He was calm, professional, and gave me a clear plan of action. Together, we started building a case. I collected bank statements, emails, and any documents Tyler had left behind. It was painstaking work, but it felt empowering. I was no longer just a victim. I was preparing to fight back. At the same time, I focused on keeping our lives as normal as possible for Maya. Renee helped with school runs and homework. Friends pitched in with meals and errands. Slowly, the chaos started to settle into a new routine. Every small victory, every bill paid on time, every moment Maya smiled reminded me that we were not broken beyond repair. Emotionally, I was changing. The woman who had been blindsided by betrayal was now someone learning to trust herself again. I realized that Tyler's actions, terrible as they were, did not define me or our family's future. Instead, they marked the beginning of a journey, one that would test my strength, my resolve, and my ability to reclaim what was rightfully ours. After the initial shock and panic of discovering Tyler's betrayal, I knew I couldn't just sit back and wait for things to get worse. I needed a plan, something clear and actionable. The first step was reaching out to a trusted family lawyer, Mr. Donovan, who specialized in divorce and asset recovery cases. His calm demeanor and straightforward advice gave me a sense of direction when everything else felt chaotic. He explained the legal options available and reassured me that Tyler's attempt to hide assets wouldn't go unnoticed. Together, we started to gather every piece of evidence we could find. Bank statements, credit card records, emails, and even text messages that hinted at his financial maneuvers. Going through the paperwork was overwhelming. Every document was a reminder of how long Tyler had been planning his escape and how little I had known about what was happening right under my nose. I discovered that he had opened several private accounts, siphoning money off in small amounts over many months to avoid detection. It was infuriating, but also fuel for the fire growing inside me. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about justice and protecting my daughter's future. At the same time, I had to find a way to keep our day-to-day life afloat. With the family's main income gone and savings wiped out, I took on more freelance accounting work. It wasn't easy juggling long hours with Maya's needs, but I was determined. I also sold some unused furniture and household items to generate quick cash. My sister Renee's presence was invaluable. She not only helped with Maya, but also encouraged me when I felt overwhelmed. Her blunt reminders kept me grounded. You're stronger than you think. This isn't just survival. It's a comeback. Emotionally, I had moments of weakness. Some nights, exhaustion and fear threatened to take over, but I learned to lean on the small victories. A paid bill, a good report card from Maya's teacher, a supportive message from a friend. Each of those moments reminded me that the life Tyler tried to steal could still be rebuilt. Meanwhile, Mr. Donovan and I began tracking Tyler's whereabouts. Through legal channels and private investigators, we found out he was living out of state under a friend's name, trying to keep a low profile. It was clear he was trying to avoid asset recovery and custody battles. That knowledge strengthened my resolve. I wasn't going to let him slip away. The legal process was slow and taxing. I attended meetings, signed paperwork, and endured cross-examinations. But with each step, I felt more in control. Mr. Donovan was meticulous, uncovering hidden accounts and freezing assets before Tyler could move the money again. He also helped me file for primary custody of Maya, ensuring her well-being was prioritized in this turmoil. Throughout this process, I learned important lessons about resilience and self-reliance. I realized that trusting blindly, even in the closest relationships, comes with risks. But I also learned that the capacity to rebuild, to fight for what matters, is even stronger. I had to redefine what security meant for me and Maya, no longer relying on someone else to provide it. As the months passed, Tyler's attempts to evade responsibility became more desperate. He reached out a few times, trying to negotiate, to convince me to settle quietly, but I stood firm. I wasn't interested in making it easy for him. I wanted accountability. I wanted fairness. I wanted Maya to grow up knowing that no one could just take what belonged to her without consequences. One pivotal moment came when the court issued an emergency order to freeze Tyler's hidden assets. The relief was immense. It felt like the first real win in a long battle. Knowing that some of the money he'd stolen was secured and could be recovered gave me hope and a sense of justice. The turning point wasn't just legal, it was personal. I stopped seeing myself as a victim and started seeing myself as a fighter. I found new strength in the everyday routines. Cooking dinner for Maya, helping her with homework, managing my clients. These moments grounded me and reminded me of what truly mattered. I also began to rebuild relationships outside the turmoil. I reconnected with friends I had neglected and made new ones who supported me. I realized that community and support were crucial, not just for survival, but for healing. By the time we reached the courtroom for the custody and asset hearings, I was prepared, not just with evidence and legal advice, but emotionally ready to face Tyler and the future without him. I had spent months taking back control piece by piece. The fight was far from over, but I was no longer afraid. Looking back, that period was the hardest in my life, but also the most transformative. The decision to act, to stand up for myself and my daughter, changed everything. It turned betrayal into empowerment and loss into a new beginning. The day of the courtroom hearing was one of the most intense and pivotal moments I had faced in the entire ordeal. I arrived early, dressed in a simple but professional outfit, feeling a mix of nerves and determination. I knew this wasn't just about money or custody. It was about reclaiming my life and protecting Maya's future. Tyler showed up too, looking calm and collected, but I sensed the tension beneath his facade. He thought he had the upper hand, but I was ready to prove otherwise. As the proceedings began, my lawyer, Mr. Donovan, laid out a clear and compelling case. The evidence we had gathered was thorough. Bank statements showing the drained accounts, proof of the hidden offshore accounts Tyler had opened without my knowledge, and documentation of his attempts to avoid responsibility. Each piece of evidence was like another brick in the wall we were building around his deception. When it was my turn to speak, I kept my voice steady and focused, explaining how Tyler's actions had affected not just me, but our daughter, and the urgency of securing a stable and safe environment for Maya. Tyler's attorney tried to downplay the severity of the situation, suggesting that the financial troubles were a result of bad investments or misunderstandings. But the judge was attentive, clearly unimpressed with these arguments, especially given the volume of evidence showing deliberate actions. The judge asked pointed questions, and Mr. Donovan answered confidently, emphasizing the legal implications of Tyler's behavior. When the custody discussion came up, I shared what I had observed about Maya's well-being, the stress she had been under, the instability caused by Tyler's disappearance, and my commitment to providing a nurturing and stable home. The judge listened carefully, nodding as I spoke about the routines I had maintained, the support systems I had built with my sister Renee and friends, and the plans I had for Maya's future. It was a moment of vulnerability, but also of strength. After hours of testimony and review, the judge made a ruling that felt like a turning point. Tyler was ordered to repay the stolen funds through wage garnishments and frozen assets, including the hidden accounts. I was awarded primary custody of Maya, with Tyler's visitation rights carefully limited and supervised. Additionally, the judge granted me a larger share of the marital property due to Tyler's deliberate financial misconduct. The courtroom was silent as the verdict was read, but inside me, a wave of relief and resolve washed over me. Leaving the courthouse that day, I felt a profound shift within myself. I wasn't just a woman who had lost everything. I was a mother and a person who had stood up and fought back. Tyler's actions had tried to destroy our family, but the truth had prevailed. It wasn't about revenge or bitterness. It was about justice and rebuilding. The weeks that followed were filled with a mix of emotions. There was still the practical work of managing finances, restructuring my freelance business, and navigating co-parenting challenges with Tyler. But there was also a new sense of empowerment. I realized how much stronger I was than I had ever given myself credit for. The legal victory was not the end. It was the foundation for a new life. I began to focus on creating that life for Maya and me. I moved into a smaller but cozy home that felt safe and welcoming. Maya started school with renewed enthusiasm, and I made sure she had every support she needed to heal from the emotional upheaval. I also invested more time in my own well-being, taking walks, connecting with friends, and allowing myself moments of peace. Throughout this process, I remained grateful for the support I had received. My sister Renee's unwavering presence was a pillar of strength. Mr. Donovan's expertise and steady guidance helped me navigate the complexities of the legal system, and the quiet resilience I found within myself became my greatest asset. Reflecting on the climax of this journey, I understand now that it was never just about money or custody. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my voice, and the future I deserved. Tyler's betrayal was a devastating blow, but it also forced me to confront my fears and rise in ways I never imagined. This experience reshaped my understanding of family, trust, and strength. I learned that even when someone you love breaks your trust in the worst possible way, you can find a path forward. You can rebuild, and you can protect those you love with everything you have. The courtroom was a battlefield, but it was also a turning point, a moment where everything changed. It was the moment I stopped being the person left behind and became the person who leads forward. After the courtroom ruling, life began to take on a new rhythm, one marked by healing, growth, and cautious optimism. The victory in court was significant, but it was just one step in a much longer journey toward rebuilding our family and reclaiming our future. I realized that the emotional scars left by Tyler's betrayal wouldn't disappear overnight, but I was determined to turn the pain into strength, not bitterness. Settling into a new home with Maya was both comforting and challenging. The house was smaller than the one we had shared, but it was filled with warmth and security. I focused on creating a space where Maya could feel safe and loved, a place that would nurture her growth and happiness. Our daily routines became anchors: morning breakfasts, school runs, bedtime stories, simple rituals that helped restore a sense of normalcy. Watching Maya smile and thrive reminded me why I had fought so hard and why the struggle was worth it. Financially, the road to stability was gradual. While the court had ordered Tyler to repay the stolen funds, I knew that full recovery would take time. Meanwhile, I worked tirelessly to build a reliable income. I expanded my freelance accounting work, took on new clients, and eventually secured a part-time position with a local firm that offered benefits. Every paycheck was a testament to my resilience and a step toward independence. I also set up a savings plan, determined to create a safety net for Maya and myself, one that Tyler's actions could never again threaten. Throughout this process, I learned to embrace boundaries and self-care in ways I hadn't before. Trust, once given freely, now had to be earned. I became more selective about the people I let into my life, surrounding myself with those who offered genuine support and positivity. My sister Renee remained a steadfast presence, a constant reminder that family isn't just about blood, but about loyalty and love. Her encouragement and practical help were invaluable, especially during moments when exhaustion or doubt crept in. Emotionally, I grappled with a complex mix of feelings: grief for the life I had lost, anger toward Tyler, but also compassion for myself. I realized that healing wasn't a linear path. Some days were filled with hope and confidence, while others brought waves of sadness or frustration. I sought therapy to help navigate these emotions and to equip myself with tools for building a healthy future. This investment in my mental health became one of the most important steps I took, not just for me, but for Maya. One of the most profound lessons from this journey was about strength, not the kind that comes from holding everything together perfectly, but the strength found in vulnerability and persistence. I learned to ask for help without shame, to admit when I was struggling, and to celebrate small victories along the way. Each challenge overcome was a reminder that I was capable of more than I had imagined. As Maya grew, I made sure to communicate openly with her, at a level appropriate for her age, about the changes in our family. I wanted her to know that while life sometimes brings unexpected hardships, love and resilience can carry us through. We talked about trust, boundaries, and the importance of standing up for ourselves, lessons I hoped would empower her as she navigated her own life. Looking ahead, I embraced a new vision for my life, one defined not by what was taken from me, but by what I could create. I explored new hobbies, connected with friends, and considered furthering my education to open doors for better opportunities. The betrayal that once felt like the end of the world became a catalyst for transformation. Reflecting on the entire experience, I realized that Tyler's actions, while devastating, revealed something vital: the depth of my own resilience and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. I didn't just survive, I rebuilt. I didn't just fight back, I flourished. And through it all, I discovered a version of myself I hadn't known before, stronger, wiser, and fiercely determined to protect the family I love. In the end, the story isn't just about betrayal or loss. It's about reclaiming power, forging a new path, and finding hope where it seemed impossible. Tyler tried to destroy what we had, but what he couldn't see was that some things, love, strength, and the will to fight, are beyond anyone's reach. Today, Maya and I continue to grow together, building a life filled with laughter, security, and promise. The past remains a part of our story, but it no longer defines us. Instead, it fuels our future, reminding us that even in the darkest times, there is light, and that light comes from within.